My brother broke into my apartment and told my girlfriend, "Leave this loser, I'll show you what a real man is." She threw my things away and laughed. I had ruined his life. Today, 24 missed calls and her panicked answer in messages. I guess deep down I always knew something was off. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. My name's Alex, I'm 29, and I've been working in warehouse logistics for the past 6 years. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills. I show up, I do my job, I keep things running smoothly. I'm not the guy who takes up space in the spotlight, I'm the one making sure the lights stay on. My older brother, Kyle, is 33. Sales director at some sleek corporate firm, always in a tailored suit, always with the newest phone, always driving something German with leather seats. He talks like he knows everything, and most of the time, people believe him. Charismatic. Sharp. Confident. The kind of guy my parents couldn't stop bragging about. Kyle's going places. Kyle's a born leader. And me? I was just doing okay. I met Lana at a birthday party my buddy threw. She was the kind of beautiful that makes you fix your shirt and double-check your hair before walking over. I almost didn't. She smiled first. For the first few months, I felt like I was living a dream. She was smart, degree in marketing, full of clever Instagram captions, always put together. I remember once catching her staring at me from across the room, and I swear she looked surprised. Like she was still figuring out how we ended up together. I should have paid attention to that look. Things started getting weird around month 12. Her phone started lighting up more. She'd flip it face down without even reading the notification. Laughed a little too hard at Kyle's jokes during family dinners. Started asking a lot more about my work hours. When I be home? Just trying to plan meals, she said. Sure. Last Thursday, I got off work 3 hours early because a forklift busted a pipe in one of the aisles. Texted Lana I'd be home by 4 instead of 7. No reply. Not unusual, she always said her phone was acting up. I got home at 3:52 p.m. The apartment was quiet, but then I heard voices muffled coming from the bedroom. I paused, assuming she was on a call. Then I heard Kyle laugh. That laugh? The same one he used as a kid when he'd break my toys and tell Mom it was my fault. The same smug chuckle he'd let out when beating me at literally anything. I stood in the hallway like an idiot, just listening. Alex is never going to do anything big, Kyle said. He's stuck in that same warehouse job. No drive. No fire. Lana replied, I know. He's sweet, but sweet isn't sexy. It's not dependable. I need someone who knows what they want. I froze. My hands clenched before I even realized it. But I didn't kick the door open. Didn't scream. I just turned the knob and walked in. The door wasn't even locked. Kyle was on the bed, my bed. Not touching her. Nothing dramatic. That made it worse somehow. They were just talking. Calm. Comfortable. Lana was cross-legged, leaning toward him like they were in the middle of a therapy session. His arm was stretched across the headboard. My headboard. Like he owned the damn place. They both looked up. No guilt. No panic. Just annoyance, like I'd interrupted something important. What the hell is this? I asked. My voice cracked halfway through. I already sounded like I was losing. Kyle smiled that same infuriating smile he's had since we were kids. Hey, little bro, thought you were working late? Equipment issues, I said. Why are you in my bedroom? Lana sighed like I was a child who needed to calm down. We were just talking, Alex. About me, I snapped. About how I have no ambition. Kyle stood up. He's always been taller. Broader. Better looking. He knows it, too. Look, he said, someone needed to be honest with her. You're coasting. She deserves more. More like you. I asked. You're engaged to Mia, remember? He laughed. Actually laughed. Mia gets how things work. We've got an understanding. Lana stood up beside him, arms folded. This isn't working, Alex. It hasn't been for a while. I looked at her. I mean, really looked. We'd been together 18 months. We lived here. Shared bills. Slept in this bed. You talked to him about this instead of me? He listens, she snapped. He gets what women need. Kyle stepped forward, rested a hand on my shoulder like we were teammates or something. You've always been okay with being average. With leftovers. It's who you are, man. You follow. Guys like me? We lead. I knocked his hand away. Get out of my apartment. Lana scoffed. This is my apartment too. And honestly? You should be the one leaving. I stood there, completely numb, while they started whispering to each other again, like I didn't even exist. We're done, Alex, she said eventually. I'm not going to waste any more time on someone who's going nowhere. I glanced from her to Kyle. Are you too? Kyle shrugged. That same half-smile. She needs someone real. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Something in me broke. but not the way they expected. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just snapped into clarity. How long? I asked. Lana rolled her eyes. Nothing's happened yet, right? You're never going to change, she said. You'll clock in and out of that warehouse for 30 years and call it a life. Kyle glanced at his Rolex, the one our uncle gave him for his birthday. Look, this is awkward. Just grab your essentials and go. Give her some space. She's made her decision. I packed in silence. Laptop, some clothes, my parents' photo, all while they stood there, whispering and chuckling under their breath. When I had an armful, Lana tossed 2 trash bags at me. Use these for the rest. I didn't say a word, just filled them up one by one. As I reached the door, Kyle called out, "No hard feelings, right, bro? You'll find someone more your speed." I walked out without looking back. Drove for hours. Ended up crashing on my buddy Jonah's couch. Next morning, I checked through my bags. That's when I found it, my old tablet. The one I stopped using last year when I got a new one for Christmas. Still synced to my iCloud. Lana's phone was backed up to my account. She never paid for extra storage and asked me to add her, just in case. So I did. The backup was still running. And every message was there. That whole "nothing happened yet" line? A lie. A bold-faced, gut-punching, humiliating lie. They'd been texting for months. And not just flirting. Plotting. Planning. Mocking. I sat on the edge of the motel bed with the old tablet in my lap, watching the spinning icon as it loaded her backup. It felt wrong, snooping through someone else's messages like that. Even if that someone had laughed while I packed my life into trash bags. But I couldn't not look. I needed to know. I needed the truth straight from the source, not through Ryan's smug grins or Jasmine's eye rolls. When the backup finally opened, it was like getting punched in the chest by reality. The texts started months ago. At first, they were casual, Ryan checking in, asking how we were doing, Jasmine venting about minor things like me forgetting to do the dishes or falling asleep during movies. But then it escalated. "Ryan, you sure you're happy with him? Seems like he's stuck in neutral." "Jasmine, I know. He's sweet, but I don't feel challenged." "Is that bad?" It went from there to subtle flirting. Little comments. Emoji-laced messages at midnight. Ryan complimenting her on things I hadn't even noticed lately. Her joking about what-ifs and "you're so bad." Then it wasn't subtle anymore. "Ryan, I could take you from him if I wanted to." "Jasmine, you're engaged." "Ryan, doesn't mean I can't show you what you're missing." I stopped reading for a minute and just stared at the wall. I'd spent 18 months with her. I thought I knew who she was. Turns out I didn't even know what was happening under my own roof. I kept reading. They coordinated times to hang out while I was at work. She'd tell me she was meeting a friend from school or working late. He'd text her things like, "I told you he wouldn't suspect a thing." And the worst part? It wasn't even about her. Ryan's messages made it clear that this was about me. "Ryan, you should have seen his face when I got the promotion last year. Same look he had when I beat him at basketball in 8th grade. Jasmine, your awful face with tears of joy. Ryan, some people are just built to lose. He tries so hard, it's cute." It wasn't just cheating. It was mockery. A sport. I screenshotted everything. Created a new Google Drive folder, labeled it in case I forget. Because I knew the pain would try to dull itself over time and I never wanted to forget how clear it all was in that moment. This wasn't about heartbreak. It wasn't even about Jasmine anymore. It was about Ryan. About the way he's taken things from me my entire life, smiling while he did it like it was his birthright. My first bike? He borrowed it and trashed it. My college savings? My parents used half of it to help him start his business degree because he had more potential. And now, the person I came home to every night. It all clicked into place. He didn't want Jasmine because he loved her. He wanted her because I had her. And I was done letting him win. I didn't want revenge in the dramatic sense. I didn't want to smash his car or punch him in the face. I didn't need fire and noise. I needed precision. I called in sick for 2 days. Told work I had a stomach flu. Spent the time in that cheap motel room, headphones in, coffee brewing nonstop, organizing everything. Every message. Every time-stamped call. Every picture Jasmine had sent him. I went full spreadsheet mode. If I was going to move forward, I wanted to do it with strategy, not spite. 3 things mattered to Ryan more than anything. 1. His fiancée Mia. 2. His upcoming promotion at our Uncle Grant's company. 3. his reputation as the golden son in our family. Those would be my pressure points. I started with Mia. Texted her, pretending everything was normal. Hey, thinking about planning something cool for Ryan's bachelor party. Want your input, whiskey tasting versus brewery tour? She responded quickly. That's sweet of you to take initiative, especially with everything going on. I played dumb. What do you mean? She said Ryan told her Jasmine and I had grown apart and decided to maturely go our separate ways. Of course he did. We agreed to meet for coffee at this little cafe she liked, the kind with overpriced foam art and avocado toast. I showed up early, ordered the blackest coffee they had, and waited. She arrived 5 minutes late, looking like she was gearing up to have a hard conversation. Sat down, gave me the gentle, I'm sorry look people use when they think you're about to get hurt. Asked how I was holding up. I let her talk. Let her explain what Ryan had told her. Then I pulled out my phone and asked if she wanted to see what really happened. She hesitated for a second, then nodded. I handed her the phone. Let her scroll. I watched her face change. The way her fingers gripped the screen tighter with each new message. The way her jaw tensed. She said nothing for a long time. Eventually, she looked up and whispered, has he done this before? I didn't want to answer. But the truth was right there. This wasn't new. It was a pattern. I told her about the girl he accidentally slept with in college while still dating someone else. About our cousin's best friend at the lake house. About how my high school ex randomly started dating him after we broke up. She didn't cry. She just said she needed time. Asked me to send her the screenshots. I did. Then I turned to the next step. Uncle Grant. He's not just Ryan's boss, he's basically a second father to him. Ryan's whole promotion hinges on Grant's trust. I couldn't go in guns blazing. I had to be careful. I called Grant and asked if we could meet for lunch. Told him I needed some career advice. He always loved to play mentor. We met at his golf club. He ordered scotch. I got water. I let him ramble about market trends and leadership principles before slowly steering the conversation toward Ryan's work. I just hope people don't think he got everything handed to him because we're family, I said casually. You know how people talk. Grant raised an eyebrow. Ryan earned that promotion. He's got the Northgate deal to prove it. I nodded, then pulled out my phone. Showed him one message. Just one. Ryan bragging to Jasmine about taking credit for something one of his junior reps had closed. Grant stared at it for a long moment. Didn't say much. Just finished his drink and ordered another. As I left, he asked me if I had more of that. I said I did. On the walk back to my car, I felt clear. Not triumphant. Not angry. Just focused. They think I'm weak because I don't yell. Because I don't throw punches or make scenes. But I'm not weak. I'm methodical. I'm just getting started. It's been 12 days since I walked out of my apartment with 2 trash bags full of my life and a head full of noise I couldn't silence. 12 days of weak motel coffee, paper-thin walls, and a neighbor who argues about Fortnite at 2 a.m. like it's life or death. But in those 12 days, I've never felt more awake. I haven't responded to Jasmine. Not to the first text she sent, please, we need to talk. Not to the 10th, you don't understand. It wasn't what you think. Not to the latest, a voicemail at 3 a.m. that started with sobbing and ended with, I messed up, okay? But I didn't mean to fall for him. She can cry all she wants. I'm done listening. Ryan texted too. First it was smug, come on man, don't be so dramatic. Then annoyed, whatever you're doing, cut it out. You're screwing with my life. And finally panicked, this isn't funny anymore. You've made your point. I didn't reply. Uncle Grant called twice. Left a voicemail asking to discuss a few things privately. I saved it. Like everything else. Mia reached out again. We met at a diner near her place this time, nothing fancy. She looked tired but sharper somehow. No makeup. Hair pulled into a messy bun. But there was something stelio in her posture, like she'd shed a version of herself and wasn't quite sure who she was now, but she was figuring it out. I confronted him, she said, after our waitress took our order. I waited. He denied it all at first. Said the messages were jokes. That I was overreacting. Of course he did. Then he admitted to one mistake. With Jasmine. Said it was a moment of weakness. Said he regretted it. And the others? I asked. She looked at me. I already knew. I just needed to hear it from him. She'd gone through his old phone backups. Found things I hadn't even seen. Conversations with other women. Photos. Names I didn't recognize. Ryan wasn't just a liar, he was a serial manipulator who had built his entire adult life on charm and cheating. I called off the engagement, she said, stirring her coffee. I haven't told my parents yet. Still working up the nerve. I nodded. She didn't thank me this time. I think we were past that. It wasn't about gratitude anymore. It was about two people sitting across from each other who had been played by the same man and had finally taken the wheel back. As we split a plate of fries, my phone lit up again. Ryan. Mia looked at the screen, then at me. Answer it, she said. I want to hear what he has to say now. I put him on speaker. He sounded drunk. It was 11:24 in the morning. You think you won, huh? He slurred. You think ruining my life makes you some kind of hero? I said nothing. Mia left. Grant's on my ass. Jasmine won't stop crying. You happy now? You always wanted to be me and now you've dragged me down to your level. Still, I said nothing. He kept going. Called me pathetic. Bitter. A loser. Then the kicker, she was unhappy for months, man. I just gave her an out. You were never enough. I hung up. Mia was gripping her mug so tight I thought it might shatter. You okay? I asked. She let out a breath. Yeah. Just imagining the wedding. The vows. The life I almost had. We sat there in silence for a moment. Then she looked at me and said something I wasn't expecting. Thank you for saving me from the worst mistake of my life. I didn't know what to say. So I just nodded. That afternoon I got a DM from someone I barely knew, Heather. Jasmine's roommate. She asked if I could meet her to pick up some of my stuff. Said she didn't feel right keeping it at the apartment. We met on a park bench near her office. She handed me a small box, my favorite hoodie, some books, my old headphones. Stuff that didn't matter on paper but carried weight. As I thanked her, she said quietly, she's been lying to you for a long time. I froze. What do you mean? Heather hesitated. Then let it out. Ryan's been coming over since January. Sometimes she'd make you sound like this awful, boring guy and then laugh about it later. They used to talk about how easy it would be to pull this off. My stomach turned. But after you left, she continued, he ghosted her. Blocked her. Told her it was just a game. That he just wanted to see if he could take you down one more time. I didn't say anything. She's been wrecked, Heather added. Like crying constantly. Saying she threw away something real for a guy who never cared. I nodded slowly. That doesn't make it better. I know. I just thought you should hear it from someone who saw it up close. Before we parted ways, Heather asked if I was still looking for a new apartment. Said things with Jasmine had become unbearable and she was looking for a new roommate. I just signed a lease, I told her. Old place, creaky floors. But it's mine. She smiled. Good. You deserve your own space. If you ever want to grab dinner or something, just as friends. Maybe, I said. Not there yet. She got it. Gave me her number anyway. Told me to take care. That night, I sat on the floor of my new apartment, surrounded by boxes. It smelled like dust and old paint, and the water pressure in the shower sucked. But it was mine. No betrayals. No games. No one looking over my shoulder and plotting behind my back. I slept better than I had in weeks. The next day, my mom called. Ryan came over last night, she said, voice tight. Drunk. Said something about Mia leaving him and trouble at work. Your dad had to drive him home. I didn't ask questions. Just said I'd come by tomorrow and explain everything. Because they needed to know. All of it. Who their golden son really was. What he'd done. And why, after all these years, I finally stopped being quiet. My parents' living room hadn't changed in years. Same beige couch with the faded throw pillows. Same framed photo of me and Ryan in matching Halloween costumes from when we were kids. I used to hate that photo. Now it just felt like a snapshot from a world that never really existed. I sat at the dining table with a stack of printed screenshots in front of me. Messages. Pictures. Time-stamped proof of everything. My mom was quiet, lips pressed tight. Dad kept shifting in his chair like his back was acting up again. I didn't rush. I let them take it in. They didn't say much until they were halfway through the stack. Then Mom whispered, "He told us you two just grew apart." I nodded. That's what he tells everyone. Dad cleared his throat. Is that Mia's number? I nodded again. She sent me those screenshots herself. Silence stretched out. Heavy. Thick. Finally, Mom leaned back in her chair and looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time in years. We failed you. I blinked. We always thought Ryan needed pushing, and you didn't, she said, voice shaky. So we pushed him, gave him more, covered for his mistakes. And we didn't see what that did to you. I didn't know what to say to that. Dad slid an envelope across the table. I opened it and saw a stack of cash inside. It's not charity, he said, as if reading my mind. It's support. Long overdue. I tried to hand it back, but he shook his head. It's yours. Get yourself something decent for your new place. I took it, quietly. I didn't say thank you because I wasn't sure if I felt grateful or just tired. On the way out, Mom hugged me longer than she had in years. Are you okay? She asked. Getting there, I said. That weekend, Mia texted and asked to meet again. Said she had something to return. We met at a Dunkin' near her place. Less espresso art, more real world. She handed me a small box. Inside was a watch. My watch. Well, the one I gave Ryan for his 30th birthday. I'd saved up for months to buy it. He wore it constantly. When I was picking up my stuff from his apartment, she said, I saw it sitting on the dresser. Thought you should have it back. I looked at her. You sure? She nodded. It meant something to you. He doesn't deserve to keep that. We talked for a while after that. About nothing heavy. Just life. Her teaching job. My awful neighbor who practices trumpet every morning at 6:30. The dumb reality show we both apparently hate-watched in secret. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't thinking about betrayal or payback. Just breathing. When we got up to leave, she hesitated. Thank you, she said again, for pulling me out before it was too late. You pulled yourself out, I told her. She smiled. Maybe, but I needed the mirror. We hugged. Awkwardly, like people who had been through a war together but didn't know what came after peace. There was no spark, no flirting, just mutual survival. And somehow that meant more. A few days later, I got another message. This time from Heather, Jasmine's old roommate. She asked if I could meet her again. Said she found a few more of my things. We met at the same park bench. She handed me a bag with a book I'd been missing and a couple of mugs I'd thought were gone. She's still trying to reach you, Heather said, sitting down. I didn't answer. She's not doing great, she added. I let out a breath through my nose. What did she expect? Heather nodded. I get it. She screwed up. Royally. But just so you know, she really did love you. She just didn't know how to appreciate it until it was gone. She laughed while I packed my life into garbage bags. I said, quietly, that's what I remember. Heather didn't argue, just sat with me for a while. Then, right before she left, she asked, you sure you don't want to grab dinner sometime? Just as friends. I hesitated, then shook my head. Maybe down the line. I'm not in a place for even friendship right now. She understood. Said to call if I changed my mind. That night was the first full family dinner since everything blew up. Mom insisted. Said we needed to start healing. Dad grilled chicken skewers like it was a 5-star recipe. Aunt Karen brought her mystery casserole. It was almost normal. Almost. Ryan wasn't there. I asked, casually, where's he been staying? Mom looked down at her plate. With a friend. He's taking time to reflect. I nodded. Said nothing. Uncle Grant showed up late and sat next to me. We made small talk. Then halfway through dessert, he leaned over and said, there's a position opening at the company. Not the same one Ryan was up for, but something that might suit you. I raised an eyebrow. You serious? He nodded. You've got a better head on your shoulders than I gave you credit for. I didn't say yes. Not yet. But the thought of working somewhere where Ryan's name wasn't whispered in admiration felt like a breath of clean air. Before I left, my mom pulled me aside. We were wrong, she said. About a lot of things. But mostly we were wrong to think being quiet meant you were weak. I didn't respond. Just hugged her again. That night, before bed, I finally opened Jasmine's last message. I know you'll never forgive me. I wouldn't either. I just want you to know I was stupid and scared. Ryan never loved me. He just wanted to win. And I helped him hurt you. That's something I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. I'm sorry, Noah. I stared at it for a long time. waiting to feel something. Anger, sadness, satisfaction. But there was nothing. Just stillness. I blocked her number and went back to unpacking boxes. I hung the watch Mia returned on a hook near the door, not as a keepsake, but as a reminder. Some things look valuable until you realize what they really cost. The next morning, I ran into a guy from high school at the grocery store. He used to follow Ryan around like a puppy, always talking about how he was going to rule the world someday. He smiled and asked, "Hey, man, how's your brother doing these days?" I smiled back. "He's going through some changes." Didn't elaborate. Didn't need to. For the first time in my life, I wasn't living in Ryan's shadow. Turns out I was never the weak one. I was just patient.